Hello YouTube and welcome to a new video. Today we're going to do something a little different, not a gameplay video, just going to be talking to you a little bit about the next expansion that will be announced August 6th. Mostly from the speculations and of course the leaks, which are on MMO Champion. Let's just hop right into it. So, the main thing that has happened now is the Dark Prophet. That is the main name. And in the Dark Prophet, Zol and Ajara are the main villains. And this is pretty much what it's about. After the last defeat, Zol has asked Rastakhan for more support, but Rastakhan has lost the confidence in Zol and refuses support. In a big coup, Zol has Rastakhan assassinated and assumes control of the Zandalari. The Zandalari trolls ally with the Naga, whose goal it is to flood the continents and raise the ocean level. Okay, so the big focus of the expansion will be on Night Elves and Trolls, with Malfurion and Vol'jin being the main heroes. This is Vol'jin's big opportunity to prove himself as the war chief of the Horde. A big emphasis will be on Vol'jin's loyalty to the Horde, despite the opportunity to be part of a newly risen troll empire. His story will be about resisting the temptation to join the Zandalari and stay with his family. This is the South Seas expansion that so many players want. Alright, so just reading that first part, in my mind, everybody's been wanting the South Seas expansion. So, I mean, when you look at that, you gotta say this. Warlords was a really, decline in WoW for a lot of people. So maybe it's time for Blizzard to take what the fans want here. The fans have been asking for a South Seas expansion for a long time. This is the time to do it. I mean, with the Zandalari, you figure the last time we've seen the Zandalari were in Pandaria. So, I mean, we haven't seen the Zandalari in a while. The fact that Night Elves and Trolls would be the main, kind of thing in this is awesome. Because, I mean, we haven't really got any good Night Elf lore or storyline in a while. Trolls, it would be nicer to learn a little bit more about Trolls and see, where they came from. With Vol'jin, though, being a main character here, Vol'jin really wasn't in Warlords. So it'd be really nice to actually see Vol'jin step out and actually do something. As for Malfurion, I don't think we've seen him in Mists of Pandaria at all. And I'm pretty sure the last time we've seen him was Cataclysm. So seeing him come up and be a main hero would be nice to finally see them push Malfurion to do something. The last time we've seen the Zandalari, though, was, I believe, the Throne of Thunder, when they were resurrecting Lei Shen. And, yeah, that was about the last time we've seen them. So, continuing on with the reading here, it goes on to say that there will be a new class in this expansion called Shadowstalker. Now, the races that will be allowed to be able to be Shadowstalkers are Trolls, Blood Elves, Orcs, Goblins, Forsaken, Humans, Dwarves, Worgen, Night Elves, and Gnomes will be able to be this class. So, looking at that, every race except for Pandaren will be able to be a Shadowstalker, which is pretty cool. The class will be a ranged class that uses bows, crossbows, and guns, and it will have a heavier focus on magic attacks. So when I read that, it's pretty much a hunter who, just uses mana and magic instead of a regular hunter that uses focus. So looking at that, let's see, what else do we have here now? The specs of the class are Dark Ranger, Spirit Mending, and Shadow Hunter. Dark Ranger and Shadow Hunter are DPS specs, and Spirit Mending is a healer spec. That right there is pretty interesting. So in a way, it takes away from it being like the healer, or like a hunter, by having it where you could be a hunter that heals. This could be an interesting class that I know for a fact I would definitely level one. But this is where it gets interesting. New Shadowstalkers will start at level 1, But players who buy the Dark Prophet will be able to create one Shadow Stalker character at level 100. That right there is kind of, that reminds me of almost like a Death Knight, except instead of getting halfway, you're getting pretty much all the way, and then, you know, you just start off from there. The new level cap would be to level 110. The expansion will have 8 zones: the Valarian Depths, Zandalar, Kul Terrace, Kazan, Tel Abim, Plunder Isle, the Rift, and Broken Isles. The 2 starting zones will be the Valarian Depths and Zandalar. The Valarian Depths are an underwater zone with Naga, similar to Vajir, but smaller. It serves as the intro to the storyline, revolving around the Naga. The story in this zone deals with Azumat and the kidnapped Neptulon. Reading that right there, I know there's a lot of people who didn't like Vajir, with it being an underwater zone. Me, I rather did actually like Vajir. The storyline was good. The only complaint I had about Vajir was how they ended it. They ended it with it being Azumat and them, they take Neptulon, and then they never finished it. I know they were supposed to do a raid in Cataclysm for that, but they ended up just pushing that aside to focus on Firelands. So, if they threw that right in there, right at the start of this expansion, that would be a great thing to finally say, alright, so this is what happened in that storyline. Continuing on now. So, Zandalar used to be the capital of the Zandalari before it was destroyed in the Cataclysm. This zone is completely ruined. Players will get here and figure out what happened to the trolls and what they are up to. This is another zone that I have to say I'd look forward to going to. Mostly because we've faced the Zandalari on so many other places. It'd finally be nice to go to where the Zandalari are and actually fight them in their own home. After the starting zone, players in each zone will board a ship that will lead them to either Kul Tiras for the Alliance or Kazan for the Horde. These zones will serve as the capitals for the factions. Players will get their own ship here, which they will use to travel around the islands. Around the capitals, there will also be some questing. So, from reading this, Kul Tiras, lots of things there. I'd love to learn what the story is there and learn more about that. So I'm happy that that would be an Alliance capital. Kazan, it's good to see that they're bringing back Kazan. The only time you really see there is in the Goblin Quest Stone, and then after that you don't really see it ever again. So seeing that, you know, as a capital for the Horde is pretty interesting. Now, players get their own ship. This sounds to me like the shipyard that we get in Warlords in patch 6.2. It sounds to me like it's something like that. And that is exactly how our travel would be to go from each of the zones. So, continuing on from that, Tel Abim is a tropical paradise. A group of peaceful trolls, the Sunspear tribe, live here. The zone is mostly lighthearted. Players have to help the Sunspear tribe against a new pygmy-like race that is giving them trouble. That sounds like an interesting place. Sounds like it's probably gonna have dailies, in my opinion, if you gotta help or something like that. Or it might be actually a main questing area. Of course, we don't know until we actually see it. After that, you have Plunder Isle is a pirate island. Here, people can recruit pirates for their crew. Once again, somewhat like the garrison, but you're going to use your ship as your garrison. So pretty much you're going to be recruiting people to be your followers. The Rift will be the first of 2 endgame zones. Here lies the Naga city of Najatar. Now, with this, one thing that's on my mind here is, will we see an old god? That's the one thing that's really on my mind here. I mean, we know that the old god is what, is really controlling all the Naga. Now, to me, what I'd like to see here is, will we actually have some kind of thing with the old god? Hopefully, if this is a thing, we do. Um, Now, the Broken Isles are a group of islands, and it is the second endgame zone that is overrun by a mix of troll and Naga forces. Here, the Naga and trolls are going through the ruins of the Tomb of Sargeras in search for powerful artifacts. The Tomb of Sargeras will be a dungeon. That right there is awesome. Huge lore behind the Tomb of Sargeras. I mean, that in the lore is where Gul'dan died trying to get there. So, the fact that it's a dungeon, though, kind of disappoints me. I mean, if it's such a dangerous place that someone like Gul'dan, a powerful warlock, you know, would die from the things inside there, why is it so simple that we could just go in there as a 5-man dungeon and take anything on? So, hopefully that, if this is a, you know, an actual leak, hopefully that they change around and it becomes like an endgame raid. Because I think the Tomb of Sargeras would be better as a raid just for that fact. Continuing on, players will not be able to travel... Players will not only be able to travel with their ship from island to island, but also be able to explore the open seas and hidden islands. They will be able to explore the open seas and hidden... They will be able to recruit a crew of pirates, depending on what pirates you pick. They will contribute in different ways to your ship. For example, you can get a cook for your ship, which will unlock exclusive cooking recipes, and who will be able to cook for you. Other pirates might contribute with different abilities, like professions or as a barber on your ship, or by offering rare quests. Blizzard returns to creating multiple dungeons per zone. Expect about 2 to 3 dungeons in most zones. So, reading that, once again, your ship would be like your garrison. Now, the 2 to 3 dungeons each zone would be exciting because that would give us more content. To me, Warlords just didn't have that. I mean, don't get me wrong, the storyline in Warlords is great, but the dungeons were lacking and that kind of stuff. But now, after reading all this and going through all of this, the reasons why I could see this being an expansion, once again, South Seas has been something that's been talked about for a while. The biggest thing is the Eye of Ashara thing that was going around for so long. People thought that that was going to be the next expansion name, and it was going to have Ashara as the main thing, and it was going to be the South Seas expansion. Well, this Dark Prophet thing pretty much is exactly the Eye of Ashara. Now, the Dark Prophet thing has only come up the last couple days. That doesn't mean it's the Dark Prophet is, you know, said and done. That it's going to be the Dark Prophet. Thursday, for all we know, August 6th, they could sit there and say the Eye of Ashara. I mean, you never know. For all we know, this could not even be the exact, expansion. This is just, from what's been leaked in speculation. But the one thing that makes me say maybe it's not an actual expansion is the Shadow Stalker class. I'm still a little wary on that because it's pretty much the same thing as a hunter and a rogue and who knows what else mixed together. I mean, it's almost one of those things that just doesn't make sense. Other than that, 110 sounds like something that Blizzard would actually do. But at the same time, it's really hard to say. This is just one of those kind of expansion things right here that, yes, it has the things where it seems like it could be an actual expansion, but at the same time, it could just be a leak or a speculation that's not real. There's so many other ways that they could take it. I mean, there's a spoiler alert if you haven't seen the ending cinematic for Warlords, so I'm just gonna, if you don't want to hear about it until you actually get the experience, then I suggest you click out right now. I'm giving you time to do it. Alright, so if you're still here, in the ending cinematic, Gul'dan gets pushed through a portal. So, if we don't somehow solve that by the end of Warlords, then I expect that Gul'dan may have something to do in the next expansion. And if that's the case, maybe this kind of expansion won't happen. Maybe they could take it in a different area. I mean, I've read something where someone said an idea of Gul'dan gets away, creates another portal that goes to alternate Azeroth to raid them, and we have to go save them. Would I want to do that? No, because we just did this Warlords thing in Draenor that did exactly like the same thing. So I really wouldn't want to do that. If anything, I'd love to see Gul'dan later on somewhere fighting with the Legion where we have to fight him and he's, really powerful or something like that. To me, that'd be a good one. Speaking of the Legion, they could always do that kind of expansion as well. But to me, we really fought the Legion here on Draenor in this expansion. I feel like if you push more Legion, it'll just be one of those things where people are going to get tired of seeing the Legion. I mean, most people, I'm sure by now, are tired of fighting orcs. So, maybe orcs are something that they should stay away from for a while now, too. So maybe Gul'dan wouldn't be a good thing. Especially because you figure, Garrosh was the final boss in Miss. Then you have this one where there's nothing but orcs, really. Of course, you have other bosses, but main thing was orcs. So, I mean, and really thinking about it, that's why I feel like the Dark Prophet or an Eye of Ashara kind of expansion could actually be a thing. I mean, Zandalari Trolls, we haven't seen them for a little bit. The Naga, we haven't seen Naga for a long time. I mean, this is just one of those things where, I could see it. Like, it makes a lot of sense on every perspective thing. The only thing that has me a little weird is the class. I mean, nothing here says anything about a new race, though. But of course, nothing is confirmed until Blizzard announces it on, the 6th. I mean, Blizzard could just blow everybody's mind and on August 6th be like, this is the expansion and this is the new race. Do I see that happening? I don't know if we'll see a new race yet. I think if we see a new race, it'll be later on down the road. But mostly in this one, I think, everything that's said is a thing. I think if anything, we'd see a class like Shadowstalker. It's, either way, I'd be excited for a Dark Prophet expansion. South Seas would be fun to do. The sea, the ship as a garrison could be a little weird. But like I said, them bringing in the shipyard to 6.2 and then reading that, it kind of almost seems like they're preparing us for an expansion where you have to use that. So, I mean, who knows? At this point, no one really knows except Blizzard, and we'll all find out on August 6th. But, what I want you guys to do is, if you think this expansion is going to happen, put it down in the comments. If you think it's not going to happen, put it in the comments and tell me why you think it's not going to happen. And tell me what your idea is that you think it's going to be. And, of course, put in there what class you think they could add in, race. Let's make this an exciting thing. Conversations about... I think, if anything, the Dark Prophet will be the expansion that they announce. The South Seas just seems like a confident thing to me that they will do. And pretty much that is it for this video. So remember to, if you like this video, to like it, comment if you didn't, or comment if you liked it, and like I said, to talk about the things. And if you really like this video and you want to stay tuned and watch some other things, then hit that subscribe button. And until next time, YouTube, have a good night.